Okay, so let's get started with tactics. A lot of tactics include just like basic checkmates. So like a one move and you win the game. So this kind of tactics is called a mate in one. So this is what we're gonna look at right here. So let me just full screen. Oh, no, it's not full screen. Okay. Okay, I do not know where full screen is. That's fine. Okay, so let's just have this position right here, right? And now let's say we're playing black. And in this position, plays knight to f3. So, can anybody find the mate in one move in this position? And if you do, you can raise your hand. Uh, Zane? So you're saying take the white knight? So knight takes f3. Okay, so Zane says it's knight takes f3. How about Evan? What do you think? So Evan also says knight takes f3. Okay, so in this case, the answer is actually queen takes e2. So you'll see that when you okay, when you move this knight was protecting this bishop, right? Because the knight, remember, moves in an L shape, right? But once it moves here, it's no longer protecting the bishop. And you can see that this knight is attacking the bishop and the queen is attacking the bishop. And only the king is defending. So this is something important. If less than the number of pieces that are attacking are defending, so what I mean by that is like you see that two pieces are attacking but only one piece is defending, then the attacking side will always win. So in this case, we can take with our queen, and he cannot take back because it's defended by our knight. So that's an important rule in tactics. If you have more attacking pieces than your opponent has defending pieces, then that tactic is good for you. But let's say you have less attacking pieces, then it's not going to work. And if you have equal pieces, like let's say this position, right? There's two defenders, they're both defending this bishop. The queen and knight are attacking. That's still not good for the attacking side. The defending side will still win. Because if you see, it's not white's move, but or black's move, but let's say the knight takes, then our knight will take, then the queen will take, and then the king will take. And then white will be the only one left standing, right? Okay. Oh, seems to be a few questions. Yeah, Shahar. Oh, okay, yeah. Evan. Okay. Are you saying like this knight takes this bishop or something else? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And because the queen is defended by the knight, it's checkmate. Okay. Nicole. That's not true because it is check right now. So Yeah, so if you do capture on e2, knight takes e2, then you'll notice that this queen, remember what this is called? When one piece can't move because another piece behind it is attacked. Does anyone remember? Hita? Or yeah, it's a pin, right? And so we'll look more at that today. So this was a checkmate in one move because this knight was defending the bishop, and once it moved, we took the bishop. Okay. So now this is black to move. So now this is a mate in two moves. So there's two moves, and if you play both moves, then white will be checkmated. Now this one's a bit trickier. If you guys don't get it, we'll save it to the end, and then we'll come back to it. But if you know the answer, you can raise your hand. Shahar. Okay, so remember we say the letter before the number, so H4. But yeah, and then so now this king can't go here because of the queen, and it can't go here, so it's forced to come here, and then okay, so now we're at this position. Now let's see if someone can continue off. Roma. Yeah, nice. So now this queen is attacking the king, right? And it's being defended by the rook. So you'll notice that this is slightly different. This queen and the rook are defending each other, so neither of them can be taken. And you'll see that this king has no squares to run. All of them are defended by the queen or the rook or the rook. And this pawn is just blocking the last square for the king. Okay, nice. So in this case, we saw a two-move checkmate, right? Now a lot of these are common. So you attack with like this attack where the queen and the rook are like right next to each other, like just one square in between. This is a common like way to attack because they defend each other and the queen can attack the king. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Okay, so in this position, black took this pawn. Okay, now it's white to move and it's checkmate in one move. Nicole. Okay, so Nicole thinks it's queen to h6. How about Evan? Okay. Does anybody think it's a different answer? All right, nice. So yes, this is queen to h6. Now you'll notice that this king, it's like kind of trapped in the corner, right? It's near the edge of the board, meaning that it could be easily attacked. So this queen, it took this pawn, and now this king has no squares to move, right? Plus, this queen is, if you look all the way down here, being defended by the bishop. And that means that this king is in checkmate. Alright, does anybody have any questions? Alright, so go on to the next one. So in this position, white takes. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, so white takes this bishop. Now it's black to play. It's checkmate in one move. Okay, Hita. D8 is the square. Do you mean D1? Yeah, okay, so Hita thinks it's queen to D1. Does anyone else think differently? No? Alright. Evan? Okay. Okay, and Evan says queen to d3. So now let's look at these two options, queen d3 and queen d1. Okay, so queen d3, the problem is, it is a check, which is good, but the king still has two squares that it can run to. So you'll see that if the queen went to d1, right? Now this king can't run to any square. This is an important thing to look for when you're doing tactics. So when if you can see that the king can't move after you play your move, then it's checkmate. You have to think about that in your head before you're playing the move. So let's say we went queen d3, right? Now can the king move? The answer is yes, right? So the queen can't defend this square or this square, right? So the king can still run here. So that wouldn't be a checkmate. Okay, but nice try. Okay. So here, black moved his rook down here. Now this is a checkmate in two moves. Okay, so oh wait, can everybody hear me? Oh, oh, okay. So let me try connecting my headphones. Okay, hopefully this will make it better. Okay, so in this position, oh wait, yeah, I don't think we saw any answers. So Shahar, okay, and if the king moves here, yeah, and remember this was called the ladder checkmate. So we looked at this when we were looking at the two rooks checkmate, right? So it was like when you just like moved one rook and then the other rook would like defend the file, right? And the other rook would give the check. And then they'd switch places. That's what happened here. So this rook is defending the file so the king couldn't run across. This rook gave the check. Then this rook was defending the file and this rook gave the check. Okay, so we have five more. So in this position, white moved the knight from here to here. Now it's black to play and it's checkmate in one move. Oh, was everybody able to hear that? Okay, just making sure. Alright, Jiten. Okay, so Jiten says queen to h1. Does anybody have a different guess? Nicole? Okay. So, yeah, Jiten is correct. It is queen to h1. And the reason is, you might think that the king could just run here, right? The problem is that this rook is defending this entire file, so the king can't run away. And the queen is giving a check. Both of these squares are protected by the queen. Then this pawn is just stopping its own king. So it's unable to move, and it's checkmate. Now in this position, black moved his rook from e2 to a2. Now it's white to move and checkmate in one move. Evan? A8? Did you say A8? Yeah. So you mean rook A, right? Yeah. So that's correct. So it is rook to A8. And now this is a bit more of an advanced checkmate because it's slightly harder to see. So you see that this is not exactly the ladder checkmate, but similar, right? So this rook over here is defending the file from all the way there. And this rook is giving a check. But the reason it's kind of different is there's a rook here, and sometimes that like throws people off. Usually the two rooks are like right next to each other. Like this rook would be over here, then you just go up and give a check. But they're like on opposite sides. But it's important to know that you can still give a checkmate, like a ladder checkmate, even if the two rooks are on opposite like sides of the board. Okay, three more. So in this position, white took the rook. So now, yeah, so white took the rook on f6. Now it's black to play and its mate in 1. Hita? Okay, yeah, that's fine. Nicole? Okay, so Nicole says queen to g2. Does anybody else have a different answer? Roma? Okay, Roma says queen to e1. So now we have two options. And does anybody have a third guess? Zane? Yeah, so we already have queen to g2. Okay, so in this case, the correct answer is queen takes g2. And so we'll look at that in a second. So why that is, I mean. Okay, so our first option is queen takes e1. And this definitely isn't a bad move. This still works. Like, you just won a rook, right? But the problem is, and you might think it is checkmate, because the king can't move anywhere. But this queen from here can come all the way back up and block our queen. And I think I taught you guys this last class. There's 3 ways to block a check, right? Did we talk about that? Okay, that might have been my other class. So there's 3 ways to block a check, and the 3 ways are to capture the piece that's giving the check, to block the piece that's giving the check, so like in this case the queen blocked, right? And finally is to move the king. So, and the acronym that we use, or like the abbreviation, is CBM. So capture, block, move, CBM. So if you ever are in check, you always have to think about CBM. So can we capture the piece that's giving the check? In this case, no, right? It's not like the king can just jump straight and capture the queen. Then we have to think, can we block? And in this case, yes, we can block. But then we still have to think about the third option. Even if we have a good move, An important quote that I forgot who said it, but if we see a good move, then try and find a better one. That's an important philosophy to follow, I guess, in chess. So we know that we can block. Now, can we try and move the king? So in this case, no, we can't, right? Everything is blocked. So then you go to your only option and you block. Evan? This one? Yeah. So yeah, that's why it's a bit tricky, right? This rook from all the way here is blocking. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that is why queen takes e1 does not work. Because we get blocked, right? And while this still is an okay position, we'll see that we are down a few pawns, right? Like white has 6 pawns and we only have 3. So it's better to just give checkmate in one move rather than try and win with 3 less pawns than our opponent, right? So in that case, that's why we play queen takes g2. Now the king is trapped, right? And the queen is being defended by the bishop. So even though this rook is attacking the bishop, since it's not attacking the queen, it doesn't really matter. We're still giving checkmate. Okay, now let's move on to the final 2 positions. Now this is kind of a weird one. So this is white to play. So the rook just moved back from g2 to g6, and now it's white to play and checkmate in one move. Roma. Okay, so Roma says bishop to c6. Does anybody have a different answer? Oh, okay, yeah. So Roma said bishop to c6. Does anybody have a different answer? Yeah, so if I ever cut out, you can just let me know, just on mute. You don't need to raise your hand. And then I'll just repeat myself. Zane? Well, A is this square. Our rooks can't go here. Do you mean bishop to A8? Are you saying bishop to A8 or are you saying rook to A8? Okay, so, and Zane thinks bishop to A8. So now we have 2 options, bishop to A8 and bishop to C6. So in this case, the correct move is bishop to c6, and we'll look at why that is in a second. But first, why not bishop takes a8? So I said that this was a checkmate in one move, right? And a checkmate, it has in its name, it has to be a check, right? And bishop takes a8, it's not a check. So that's why this move wouldn't work. Still a good move, you're just getting a rook, right? But there's a better one. So that's where the saying comes in again, right? If you see a good move, find a better one. So this is a good move, but the better one is this. This is the best one too. Okay, so why bishop to c6? Now you'll see that this bishop is giving a check, right? So now let's think about CBM. Can this bishop be captured? No. Can it be blocked? Is there any piece that could go here and block? No. Can the king move? Let's see that. So this bishop is blocking these 2 squares. This bishop is attacking these 2 squares. The pawn is blocking this square, the bishop is blocking that square. Excuse me. So in this case, you'll see that this king cannot move, right? Even though it's only 2 bishops, it's you can see how the king got checkmated. This king cannot move in this position. So that is checkmate. Okay. Does anyone have any? Yeah, Evan. It's black to move. C8 is the square. The king can't jump, right? D8. Yeah. So the king can't go to D8, right? Like you'll see that this bishop is blocking these two squares. So yeah, that's why two bishops are really strong. Okay, and the last position. So in this case, this one's probably the trickiest one of them all. So black played b6. Okay, now it's white to play and it's checkmate in one move. Okay, Nicole. Okay, so Nicole says queen takes f7. Does anybody say a different answer? Zane? Yes, okay. Okay, so Zane also says queen takes f7. Alright, so yes, the correct move is queen takes f7 checkmate. And you might think, well, why can't our knight capture, right? But this rook is pinning the knight to the queen, or to the king, right? So this knight can't move without the king being in danger. If the king is in danger, you lose the game, right? So that's why this knight just can't move at all. So a king pin, or like a pin where you're attacking the king behind the piece, is the strongest pin. Because now that means that the piece in front just can't move at all, right? So that is an important thing. And now this king, it also can't move, right? Because this bishop is protecting our queen, and the queen is blocking all these squares, and this queen over here is just stopping the king. So another okay move would have been just to take the rook over here, right? That's like fine, right? But once again, if you see a good move, find a better one. So in this case, the better move was to take here. Okay, so now we have these 10 tactics, right? And basically, I just wanted to show you guys these tactics to like introduce you to the idea of tactics. Next class, we're gonna look more deeply with these like tactics, so we'll look even deeper into like other like tactical motives. But for the rest of today's class, I'm gonna go over here to chess.com puzzles. Wait, actually, first, does anybody have any questions on these 10 tactics that we've just done so far? Evan? Yeah, so the problem is this bishop over here is defending the queen, and the king can't take anything that's defended. Yeah. Okay, that was a good question. Anything else? Alright, so now let's go over here. Okay, so let's start with the first thing that we'll look at is the pin. Okay, so a pin is when you attack a piece and the piece behind it can't move. Okay. Not too sure how this position is a pin, but does anybody see the like checkmate attack here. It is black to play.